China forcefully harvests organs from detainees.
Some people say it is more dangerous in prison than it is out. And if they're talking about one of the prisons that we're going to show you in this video, well, they might be dead, right? Prison can be a gnarly place, but these are nightmares dressed up as correctional facilities. These aren't the places where you serve time and hopefully learn a lesson. These are the kinds of institutions where survival itself becomes your only mission. From cells that feel more like medieval torture chambers to guards who behave more like executioners than enforcers of order, these prisons are real. Most of them are still in operation, and trust me, you never want to end up in one. Let's begin with number 15, Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay Detention Camp, also known as Gitmo, is a U.S.-run detention facility located on the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. Here, justice moves painfully slow. Its construction began in 2002, with the camp built in phases. This prison was originally designed to imprison Muslim militants and suspected terrorists captured by U.S. forces in Afghanistan and Iraq. The facility drew global outrage after leaked reports revealed how detainees were treated, raising serious concerns under the Geneva Convention. After the September 11th attacks, Guantanamo began receiving alleged al-Qaeda operatives believed to be behind the attacks. At the time, U.S. officials felt extreme measures were justified to extract intelligence on the whereabouts of their main target, Osama bin Laden. Some of those interrogation methods, however, clearly crossed legal and ethical lines. Since its inception, nearly 800 men have been detained at Guantanamo Bay. Now, only about 40 remain, and rest assured, the ones still there are considered the absolute worst of the worst. Number 14, Alcatraz Prison. If there is hell on earth, it might just be this. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary was once the most secure facility in the United States. Located 1.25 miles off the coast of San Francisco, California, it operated from August 11, 1934, until its closure on March 21, 1963. It sat isolated on its own rocky island, surrounded by icy waters and layers of reinforced steel and concrete, making it arguably the most escape-proof prison on the planet. One inmate famously said he didn't need a guard hovering, he'd just check in occasionally. Alcatraz was basically a fortress dropped into the middle of a watery grave. The only things interested in getting near its shores were the great white sharks that circled it. These predators formed a natural second line of defense. If you escaped, dodged the sharks, and survived the frigid swim, you nearly earned your freedom. It even attracted gangsters eager to boost their criminal street cred. Sounds insane, doesn't it? Number 13, Black Dolphin Prison. We all know Russians are tough as steel, but what does that say about their justice system? Just like their people, Russian prisons are brutally unforgiving, and Black Dolphin Prison reigns as the harshest of them all. It's the country's most fortified facility, stationed near the Kazakhstan border, and it cages some of the most dangerous criminals alive, like serial killers, terrorists, and even cannibals. National Geographic even produced a chilling deep-dive documentary on it. But let's be real, the bottom line is brutal. You do not want to end up here. The inmates, guilty of crimes that shatter human understanding, are sealed in claustrophobic, windowless cells. They're granted just 90 minutes a day for movement and meager sunlight. The rest of their lives is spent in lockdown. Surveillance never stops. 24/7 CCTV and guard patrols every 15 minutes. Anyone living like this would break. But honestly, most of these prisoners were already broken long before crossing into Black Dolphin. If you're sent here, you'll never see the blue sky again. Number 12, Nairobi Prison. Nairobi Prison in Kenya is undoubtedly one of the most overcrowded correctional facilities in the world. Originally built to accommodate a maximum of 800 inmates, its population has surged into the thousands. If that's not bad enough, The prison also holds 250 short-term detainees crammed into a room designed for just 50 people. Female prisoners sleep 30 to 40 to a room. It's hard to imagine how that's even bearable. Basic necessities are severely lacking. Some cells have no beds at all, clothing is in short supply, and medical treatment is nearly non-existent. Now, opinions vary on what inmates deserve, but compared to prisons elsewhere, these conditions are brutal. It feels unjust that a mentally unstable inmate might get a padded cell, while someone in their right mind has no personal space whatsoever. Nairobi prison is also home to numerous foreign nationals. Nigerian prisoner Colin Alexander once said inmates survive solely by the grace of God. Here, the danger isn't the criminals, it's the conditions. Number 11. Red Onion State Prison. Red Onion State Prison has earned a grim reputation for its brutal conditions and relentless use of solitary confinement. This supermax facility holds inmates classified as highly dangerous, with security prioritized far above rehabilitation. Many prisoners are locked in solitary cells for up to 23 hours a day, a setup known to trigger extreme psychological damage, including paranoia, anxiety, depression, and hallucinations. Here, reports of excessive force by correctional officers are widespread, with both physical and psychological abuse frequently alleged. Inmates routinely endure substandard medical care, unsanitary conditions, and near-total isolation from educational or rehabilitative opportunities. The prison's intense isolation model has raised major human rights alarms, drawing criticism from advocacy groups and former inmates alike. With its focus on strict control rather than reform, Red Onion has become a symbol of everything wrong with punitive incarceration. Between the inhumane treatment and the psychological toll of long-term isolation, it's no wonder this prison ranks among the most condemned in America. Number 10. North Korean Prison Camp 22. North Korea has its great share of prison camps, and the network continues to expand. In fact, it's believed that over 200,000 inmates are confined in these facilities, which have been compared to those run by the Nazis during World War II. Well now, that's brutal. North Korean officials have repeatedly denied that these camps even exist. Information is extremely limited, although a few escapees have shared chilling stories. Most famously, Shin Dong-hyuk spoke on 60 Minutes about surviving 23 horrifying years behind the fences. There are very few images of the camps, and most sightings have only come from satellite imagery, offering little insight into just how terrifying life inside truly is. Hwaryeong Political Prison is perhaps the baddest. Known as Camp 22, it reportedly held nearly 50,000 prisoners at its peak. The camp is said to have shut down in 2012, but let's be honest, the whole empire of Kim is a prison, worse than hell. Number 9. Diyarbakir Prison. Most prisons have a backstory, and it's often an interesting one. But some are best forgotten, and for very good reason. One such case is among the many Turkish prisons, several of which contain rather dark histories dating back generations, and Diyarbakir might just be the darkest of them all. This prison has notoriously locked up kids, some for life. It also has a known record of extreme overcrowding and sewage flooding its halls. Disturbing, to say the least. Many of us have seen films set in prisons where guards clash with inmates, but in Diyarbakir, this hostility turned fatal. In 1996, a massacre was allegedly planned and executed by the guards, killing 10 inmates and injuring 23. The guards were rumored to be armed with riot gear, batons, and truncheons. No one was officially held accountable, but evidence strongly pointed inward. Prisoners are denied rights, have limited health care, and have no cultural or recreational access. The Turkish government claims reform is coming, but who knows when that tide will turn. Number 8. Supermax Prison. Colorado is home to a supermax facility with one of the most unforgiving security systems, not just in the US, but globally. Here, prisoners are locked in isolation for an average of 23 hours a day. These inmates aren't just criminals. They're considered the highest security risks to national and international safety. The prison's layout ensures near total isolation. Cells measure just 7 by 12 feet. Some inmates remain confined for 24 hours without human contact. Solid walls separate them from one another, making interaction impossible. This is isolation on a surgical level, a concrete bubble designed to break the human spirit. Only men are housed here, and the prison sits 5,000 feet above sea level in the remote southern Rockies. Many describe it as hell on earth. It's home to some of the most notorious figures in modern criminal history. Most will never leave, and most will never see sunlight or another human face again. It's just super scary. Number 7. Petak Island Prison. We've talked about Alcatraz in the US, but what about the prison nicknamed the Alcatraz of Russia? With a label like that, you already know it's not a place you'd want to end up. Petak Island Prison is so harsh that even if someone walks out after serving their time, they rarely leave the same. Countless dangerous inmates have left in worse mental condition than when they entered. Many end up returning by committing more crimes. That's hardly justice. One prison psychologist said Petak Island destroys people, stripping their identity and leaving only shadows behind. Some inmates forget how to live outside the walls and willingly come back because it's the only place they feel they belong. Experts say the first 9 months break them in, and from there, their minds begin to deteriorate. Imagine spending 25 years in this prison. Number 6. Butyrka Prison. The Russian capital of Moscow is home to a prison that many have deemed nearly impossible to escape. Butyrka is a facility located north of the city center and is a real gauntlet for anyone trying to survive, especially those who've attempted to flee. Following the 18th century, the prison became widely known as the Butyrka Fortress. It was rebuilt into an actual stronghold, complete with 4 towers and a fortified wall. Butyrka turned into a transit prison, with over 30,000 convicts each year being transferred to other regional jails and exile zones. It has since come under criticism for overcrowding, safety violations, and harsh living conditions. Over the years, the prison has held many notable guys, like Soviet-era authors Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Isaac Babel. Adolf Hitler's nephew Heinrich was also imprisoned here. Butyrka has been visited by various celebrities, perhaps seeking inspiration, with one of the most famous being illusionist Harry Houdini, who escaped in 1908 from what was considered its most secure device. Number 5. Karandiru Prison. The Karandiru Penitentiary is easily one of the most horrific prisons in history, as it became the scene of what was likely the worst human rights violation in Brazil's history. The prison, located in São Paulo, Brazil, was built by Samuel das Neves to meet the demands of the 1890 Criminal Code. At its peak, toward the end of the 20th century, it was dangerously overcrowded. At one point, nearly 8,000 inmates were jammed into the facility with only 1,000 guards to monitor them. These overwhelmed officers were expected to control a chaotic, violent population, which proved impossible more than once. The prison housed some of Brazil's most ruthless criminals, and things only worsened as more poured in. The blocks were filled with disease, starvation, and untreated injuries. The medical staff was minimal and often unwilling to help. In 1992, a massive riot left 111 inmates dead after police refused to negotiate and sent in the military. The commander, named Colonel Ubiratan Guimarães, was later assassinated after his release. Number 4. Abu Ghraib Prison. During Saddam Hussein's regime, Abu Ghraib earned global notoriety for all the worst reasons. The facility became a symbol of horror, packed with as many as 50,000 prisoners in deplorable, life-threatening conditions. Originally not intended to house that volume, the overcrowding turned cells into suffocation chambers. Prisoners were jammed into 12 by 12-foot spaces, with some dying from disease, dehydration, or untreated wounds, even if they avoided torture. Torture and executions were routine. Prisoners faced electric shocks, beatings, and worse, often without trial. And it didn't end with Saddam. After the U.S. invasion, leaked photos revealed U.S. soldiers abusing detainees, sparking international outrage. One soldier even said, "We were never trained to be guards. They told us to use our imagination." That imagination led to humiliation, psychological torment, and violence that shocked the world. Well, this is terrifying. Number 3. Rikers Island. Rikers Island has a reputation soaked in violence, corruption, and systemic abuse. With a legacy full of brutality, the stories that come from inside its walls are anything but rare. Notorious inmates include Tupac Shakur, Sid Vicious, and Mark David Chapman. Situated on 413 acres between Queens and the Bronx, Rikers is one of the world's largest jails. It currently houses around 7,000 inmates, but in the 1990s, that number peaked at 20,000, a claustrophobic nightmare. Former inmate Vidal Guzman, jailed at 16, likened the experience to hell on earth. As he crossed into Rikers, a guard warned him, "Welcome to Gladiator School." Within his first week, he witnessed 2 teenagers being killed. The prison has earned grim nicknames like Gladiator School, Torture Island, and The Oven, named for how the steel doors and concrete floors scorch during summer. It's expected to close in 2026, but until then, pray for the prisoners. Number 2. La Santé Prison. La Santé is Paris's only prison, and easily one of the most infamous in Europe. A site of dark history, it has held countless high-profile criminals. Though its name translates to Good Health Prison, the reality inside couldn't be further from that. Opened in 1867, it housed criminals like Carlos the Jackal and notorious escape artist Jacques Mesrine, who broke out of nearly every facility he entered, including this one. Now open for tours, visitors can see firsthand the dreadful conditions inmates once endured. One visiting doctor reported filthy cells, rampant vermin, and untreated mental illness. Inmates prone to self-harm received zero psychiatric support. Despite its misleading name, La Santé was anything but healthy. The prison is currently empty and undergoing long overdue renovations. Whether it will return as a functioning facility or be preserved as a grim reminder of its past remains unclear. But either way, it's a scary place. Number 1. La Sabaneta Prison. Maracaibo National Prison, aka La Sabaneta, in Venezuela, is one of the most dangerous correctional facilities in the world. In operation since 1958, and most recently under Minister Iris Varela, the prison is infamous for severe overcrowding and extreme neglect. Meant to hold 700 inmates, the facility now confines over 3,700 prisoners, watched by just 40 guards. Medical care is nearly non-existent. Food and clean water are scarce. Gang violence thrives, and many parts of the prison are entirely controlled by inmates. With cells only 8 by 12 feet, many prisoners resort to stringing hammocks or sleeping shoulder to shoulder on the ground. Everyone shares the same water bucket to wash and uses plastic bags as toilets. Knives are a necessity. In 1994, riots led to 108 deaths in a bloody gun battle. Fires, killings, and even beheadings are common. At this point, it's clear the guards have lost control, and it's hard to blame them. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.